This is the unluckiest man in America. He went into a phone booth to make a call, and suddenly a mysterious sniper had him in their sights. At first, the guy thought it was some kind of joke, until the sniper took a shot and blew up a toy right next to him. Then came the warning: don't hang up the phone. Don't even think about calling the cops. So now, what the hell is he supposed to do? The guy's name is Stu. That day, he stepped into a phone booth, took off his wedding ring, and was about to call his side chick. Right as he dialed the number, a pizza delivery guy showed up knocking on the glass. "Hey man, your pizza's here." Stu looked at him and said, "Have you ever heard of someone ordering pizza to a phone booth?" But the delivery guy insisted, "Dude, this is the address on the order." Stu told him he must have gotten it wrong, but the guy asked what he was supposed to do with the pizza now. The order was already paid for. Stu, getting annoyed, told him, "Fine, just give it to a homeless guy or something." But the delivery guy wouldn't let it go. So finally, Stu pulled $5 out of his wallet and told him to eat the pizza himself. The guy looked insulted and stormed off, pissed. Stu then made his call, trying to sweet-talk his side chick into meeting up that night, but she had something going on and couldn't make it. Disappointed, Stu gave up and hung up the phone. Just then, the phone rang again. Thinking maybe she changed her mind, he quickly picked it up, but it wasn't her. Stu got a strange phone call. The mysterious caller said, "You really disappointed me." Stu figured the guy had dialed the wrong number, but the voice went on, "That pizza was delicious. You really should have taken it. You're gonna regret it." Then he added, "This is going to take a lot out of you. Whatever you do, don't hang up." Stu thought the whole thing was ridiculous and asked, "Who the hell are you?" The caller didn't answer. Instead, he described exactly what Stu was wearing, said his full name, and even listed his home address. Then he brought up Stu's side chick and warned him not to hang up, or someone Stu cared about might get hurt. The caller told Stu to call the side chick. Stu refused flat out. To his surprise, the guy called her himself and turned on the speakerphone so Stu could hear everything. He told the girl he was a good friend of Stu's and that Stu had been lying to her the whole time. Then he goes, "Stu's only trying to sleep with her." Stu started to panic. "Don't believe him," he shouted. "He's making this all up." But the caller reminded him, "This is a one-way call. She can't hear you." Then the man asked the girl, "Why does someone who owns a phone come to a phone booth every day just to call you?" She replied, "It's quieter that way." The caller laughed and said, "You're too naive. He does that because his wife checks his call history. Didn't you know? Stu's married." Then he hung up, and the girl's face twisted in shock and anger. A streetwalker showed up outside the phone booth. She wanted to use the phone to do business. Stu told her to get lost. She kicked the door a couple of times, swore at him, then stormed off. On the phone, the mysterious caller told Stu again to call his wife and confess to having an affair. Right then, the streetwalker came back and started banging on the door hard, so hard she hurt her hand. The person on the other end of the line started laughing, but still insisted Stu call his wife and to come clean. The man said if he didn't, he'd make the call himself. So Stu called his wife. The mystery man told him exactly what to say. Outside, the streetwalker brought a friend. The two of them stood there talking, wondering why someone with a cell phone would still be using a phone booth. The mystery sniper told Stu again to confess, but Stu said, "Someone's been spreading lies about me lately. So if you hear anything bad, don't believe it." Then he shoved the door open and threatened the two women outside, telling them to beat it or he'd have them arrested. After that, they left. A remote-controlled robot appeared next to the phone booth. A mysterious voice threatened Stu. If he dared hang up, he'd be leaving in a body bag. Stu looked around at the tall buildings. This was downtown. He didn't believe the guy would actually open fire here. Just then, he heard the click of a gun being cocked. Panicked, Stu dropped into a crouch. The mysterious voice started counting down from 3 and then blew up the robot outside the booth. The explosion shocked Stu so badly, he collapsed to the floor, realizing this was way more serious than he thought. A street vendor who had been selling robots walked up to the booth and demanded Stu pay for the damage. Stu opened the door and handed over some cash. He looked down and saw a red dot on his chest. A mysterious voice spoke again, asking if Stu had heard about the recent shootings at other phone booths. There was the German perv on 38th Street, some twisted artist, and the Wall Street broker on 47th. He single-handedly ruined countless lives. The voice said he'd taken care of them too. Then the red dot moved, aiming right at Stu's right shoulder. A guy's being threatened by a sniper. He absolutely cannot hang up the phone. Right then, a group of streetwalkers show up with a local boss. The four of them surround the phone booth. The boss starts banging on the door, shouting for Stu to come out. Stu tries to explain that he can't hang up the phone, but all he could do was reach into his pocket, pull out his wallet, and hand the boss $120. The boss isn't happy. It's not enough. He suddenly bumps the price up to $500. One of the girls gets pissed. They brought the boss to kick Stu out, not to make a deal with him. Not wanting to lose face in front of the women, the boss punches the glass door, cracking it, then storms into a nearby shop and comes back holding a big stick, standing outside the booth, threatening Stu. The boss smashed through the glass door with one swing, then yanked Stu's head out from behind it. On the other end of the phone, the mysterious voice kept saying, "I can stop him." Right at the critical moment, Stu said, "Okay." A gunshot rang out. The boss got hit. He staggered a couple steps and collapsed to the ground. Stu's eyes went wide as he shouted into the phone, "You killed him!" But the mysterious voice replied calmly, "I was just following your orders." Stu froze. "I just wanted you to stop him." One of the streetwalkers nearby, who clearly had feelings for the boss, was furious with grief. She thought Stu had a gun on him, so she called the cops. Stu took off his jacket, then slipped his phone from his pocket and secretly called the police too. The mysterious voice noticed and fired. The bullet tore through the shattered glass door and clipped Stu's ear. Then came the sound of sirens. 7 or 8 cop cars screeched to a stop, blocking off the entire street and surrounding the phone booth. The police took away the boss's body. The streetwalkers crowded around, frantically telling the officers what happened. A few minutes later, the local news station got the scoop. Cameramen rolled up with their gear. The anchor grabbed her mic. And people on the street, they all whipped out their phones and hit record. A man was being threatened by a sniper rifle. NYPD Captain Ed Ramey was a sharp guy. He started wondering, why wasn't Stu running, even though he'd committed a crime? Instead, Stu was just standing in a phone booth, talking on the phone like nothing was wrong. Either the 3 women had filed a false report, or Stu wasn't right in the head. Captain Ramey lowered his gun and walked over to try and talk things out with Stu. Stu claimed he didn't kill anyone. He said he didn't even have a gun. Captain Ramey asked, then who fired the shot? On the other end of the line, the mystery sniper heard this and immediately threatened Stu. If he dared snitch, he'd be shot right then and there. Left with no choice, Stu said he didn't know. Captain Ramey stepped in a little closer and asked who Stu was talking to on the phone. Stu lied and said it was his therapist. Captain Ramey played along, chatting a bit about therapy, hoping to get some useful info out of him. But Stu, scared of getting killed, didn't say anything helpful. Back at the station, Captain Ramey met with his team. He told the tech guys to start tapping Stu's phone. By now, Stu had become a national headline. Helicopters were circling overhead, and the whole country was watching the drama unfold in real time. Stu was mistaken for a terrorist. When his wife saw the news, she rushed to the scene. Meanwhile, the mysterious sniper had her in the crosshairs of a sniper rifle. Stu heard the sound of a bullet being chambered. The mystery man gave him an order: confess to your wife in front of everyone. If Stu did exactly what he said, he'd let him go. So Stu poked his head out and called to his wife. He confessed everything, that he called his mistress every day, that he'd been cheating on her. Even so, the mystery man had no intention of letting him off the hook. Furious, Stu hung up the phone. As soon as he stepped out of the phone booth, the cops all raised their guns and aimed right at him. His wife tried to run over to him, but the police held her back. That's when Stu saw the red dot on her forehead. He realized the mystery man still had her in his sights. Panicking, he shouted at her to back away. Captain Ramey noticed something wasn't right. He told the officers to hold their fire. He looked around, starting to piece it together. Maybe Stu was being forced to do all this. Just then, the phone in the booth started ringing again. Captain Ramey told Stu to go answer it. Stu stepped back inside. The mystery man told him to look up. There was a gun taped to the top of the phone booth. "Take it," the man said. Stu instantly refused. "If the cops see a gun in my hand, they'll shoot me to pieces." Stu suddenly spotted the wedding ring on the ground. An idea popped into his head. While pretending to pick it up, he secretly pulled out his phone and called his wife. As soon as she answered, she handed the phone over to the cops. The police heard the conversation between Stu and the mystery man and immediately figured it out. Someone was using a sniper to kill people. Captain Ramey quickly ordered his men to start a secret search. Just then, the mistress showed up at the scene. The mystery man locked onto her too and threatened Stu. "If you don't take the gun down, I'll kill her." Stu panicked and reached for the gun, telling the guy there was nothing up there. But the mystery man gave another order: "Take it down now, or someone dies in your place, your wife or your mistress. You choose." Stu begged him not to kill anyone. That's when Captain Ramey showed up, trying to stall for time. He told Stu, "Hey, your lawyer's here." But Stu didn't have a lawyer. He realized Captain Ramey was hinting that the cops were already tracking the shooter. The mystery man didn't pick up on it. He just kept giving orders. He told Stu to confess right there in front of everyone what kind of man he really was. Stu did. Stu was being held at gunpoint by a sniper. He had no choice but to confess everything in front of everyone. He admitted he hadn't paid his assistant in months, that he always lied and used people, that he wore expensive suits because he was terrified of being looked down on, that his fancy watch was a fake, and so was he. He even told his wife he'd taken off his wedding ring to call his mistress. Then, right there in the crowd, he pointed her out. He'd lied to the mistress too. He told her he wasn't married. "I'm a total piece of shit," he said. As he kept talking, he got more and more worked up. His eyes welled with tears. And when he laid it all out there, he looked up at the mysterious figure and said through sobs, "You're not gonna let me go, are you?" "Yep," the figure replied. Then Captain Ramey shouted from the crowd, "Your lawyer's almost here." But the real message was, the mystery sniper's almost caught. The mysterious figure realized his time was almost up. "If I'm going down," he said, "I'm taking someone with me." He told Stu to choose, his wife or his mistress. Stu was frozen. He couldn't decide. The figure raised the rifle toward the wife. Guess the wife's getting the bullet then. And that's how the scene opened, with Stu, desperate to protect his wife, reaching for the gun taped under the phone booth. Stu stepped out of the phone booth with his arms wide open. Suddenly, a gunshot rang out. Stu fell to the ground right after the shot. At the same time, the police were searching for the mystery sniper inside the building. They walked into a room and only found a dead body. Captain Ramey also picked up the phone inside the phone booth. He heard the officers report they arrived too late. The shooter had already killed himself out of guilt, but Stu, lying on the ground, hadn't actually been shot. To confuse the sniper, the cops had fired rubber bullets at Stu. He just got knocked down by the impact, but survived. Stu escaped death and embraced his wife as she ran over, kissing her. The police pushed the stretcher carrying the shooter over, asking the couple if they recognized him. Stu pulled back the sheet covering the body, rubbed his nose with his hand and said he did recognize the guy. It was the pizza delivery guy who had come outside the phone booth just before Stu got the sniper's call. At the time, Stu had rudely shooed him away. The police shook their heads, saying people these days are really messed up. But was the delivery guy really the sniper? Stu was helped into an ambulance. The medical staff gave him a sedative injection. His vision started to blur. In a daze, a mysterious man walked up to the ambulance and looked down at Stu's shoes, saying, "Not bad." Because Stu had hung up the phone, the man couldn't say goodbye to him. The mysterious man felt sorry for the delivery guy. Stu never saw the man's face clearly, and the stranger disappeared into the crowd. The end. This movie is called Phone Booth. It's a low-budget classic. Hope you all like it. Don't forget to like and subscribe. See you next time. Bye.